Digital Marketing Radio, episode 96. Is social media a must for great SEO?
DigitalMarketingRadio.com.
I'm David Bain, and this is Digital Marketing Radio, weekly interviews with digital marketing experts. Find out about everything we do at DigitalMarketingRadio.com.
The big interview with David Bain.
So today I'm joined by LUKASZ ZELEZNY. LUKASZ.
Hello, nice to see you. Nice to see you. Thank you very much for invitation. It's a big thing for me to be with you. And I'm a fan of your podcast, so thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for joining me. LUKASZ is a big event speaker. He's head of organic at USwitch UK, and he's also a self-confessed SEO, PPC, and social media geek.
That's correct.
You can find him on LinkedIn with the ID SEO Manager London, but I'll link to that from the show notes on digitalmarketingradio.com. LUKASZ, you're an SEO, but you're also really prominent on social media. So do you think it's necessary to be prominent on social media nowadays to have great SEO?
If you would ask me this question a couple of years ago, that would be probably difficult to answer. Maybe I would try to make this up, but right now I have enough proof that it really works, and this is not just empty words that, oh, you should be visible there and there. And I have a presentation about how you can generate synergy between social media from one side and SEO from the other side. So, like every time you're writing engaging post or something really interesting, you can see correlation that if you have lots of shares on Twitter, lots of shares on LinkedIn, lots of shares on Facebook, on some point, people will start creating content around your content, linking to this content, and so on and so on. So everybody who is asking me, should I be visible on social media these days, or does social media help me with my SEO? I'm absolutely like, yes, 1000%. If you can create something which is very engaging on social media, your SEO factors and all the ingredients that need to be in the place, like backlinks and so on, will start growing as well. Okay, this is like in a nutshell. In a nutshell,
it's part of the algorithm somewhere. You actually mentioned Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, I think.
I'm trying to avoid saying people, well, if you do number of shares, then you will get that much benefit. Right. Because I feel like it doesn't work like that, and probably it will never be working like that, thanks God, because otherwise there is a huge risk that you would see this massive scale of let's buy shares, let's buy retweets, and so on. It still exists, I'm fully aware, but it is not because of SEO. If there will be fully transparent tactic that, number of shares is bringing you up, then it would be disaster, and probably the social media platforms would be in troubles. So because it's not like that, it's more about this kind of semantic human way of interaction. You need to engage real people, bloggers, people who own website, and then the next step is this kind of what I call synergy. They will start writing about you because they saw so many posts and so on on social media.
And what about brand citations on social media? So mentions of brands without actually linking to that. Do you think that may by itself have a small impact on authority of a site?
Again, how I treat this, it is like I'm using my name and surname as my brand, okay? And I am lucky to be able to use Brand24, the tool which is one of the greatest tools in terms of tracking brand visibility. And I'm scanning Twitter, Facebook, blogs, and so on. So sometimes I can see that on Twitter, someone mentioned me, but not even doing a proper mention, just my name and surname as a plain text. When I see this, I can speak to that person. I can say, hey, thank you very much for mentioning me. Maybe we can do something together. Maybe, we can write something together. Maybe, you can appear on some event in London when I am as well. Maybe we can talk, and so on and so on. And that is what generating this interaction. Maybe you're right that, the fact that a brand is mentioned number of times on social media platform, maybe there is a boost. scientifically, I didn't found this, and I'm quite quite comfortable with the fact that the numbers doesn't work the same way, like for example with backlinks. Yes, so more backlinks, more visibility in SERPs. So once again, like as a conclusion, I would be more happy to, if I would see that you mentioned me and we never had a chance to speak before, I would rather like to have kind of a contact with you first and then talk what we can do together, rather instead of, oh, more people will mention me, I will go up in the SERPs.
Okay, and I think you've just mentioned Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn so far. What about Google Plus? What's your opinion about that?
I'm quite skeptic. I saw previous part of your podcast last week, and I would say I'm a little on the other side of this game. I never found Google Plus that interesting. Maybe because I'm thinking this way. Twitter, 140 characters, something new, like sending messages that are visible publicly. Great for Asians, like Chinese people, maybe Chinese is not, but like in Hong Kong, because in China it's banned, but in Hong Kong, in Japan, it's very popular because 140 characters, you can write like literally like an essay, yeah? So that's a new way of communication. Facebook just took a niche after MySpace, which really failed. Then you have Pinterest, something new, and Google Plus somehow was trying too much to copy Facebook, in my opinion, and all the friends, because it's not about, oh, new platform is there, I will be there. It's more about, I'm going on new platform because there are people who I want to contact. There are my friends, there are my potential customers, there is some interesting conversation. And I think with Google Plus, it was more like, oh, there is new platform, so we need to create accounts. So everybody create accounts, and then everybody was waiting for something that will happen. There was no spark,
Mm-hmm.
There was no boom. There was nothing like this moment of coolness,
Yeah, it reminds me of blogging about 5 years ago. There were so many additional new platforms, and then everyone's sidebar got completely full of about 80 different buttons, and everyone thought it was absolutely necessary to syndicate all your content everywhere. But of course, people are realizing now that it's more appropriate probably to focus on quality original content in just a few networks.
Exactly, I totally agree with you. And if you take on my activity in social media, I am using mainly Twitter and mainly LinkedIn. Facebook, more or less, is more for my private stuff, sometimes my travels and so on. But LinkedIn, because I just love LinkedIn. It makes so much sense, done in a strict purpose to contact professional people. Twitter, it's this kind of, I think there is lots of cool way of this coolness, they call this coolness element, which allowed me to contact everybody very quick way. And that's it, because, I'm not very much on Pinterest, I'm not very much on Instagram. I feel like Instagram is maybe more for celebrities, for models, for people who are like looking for photo sessions and so on and so on. They are very popular on Instagram, and I think like that's the proper way for them to communicate, much better than having a LinkedIn profile. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's also the way what you want to achieve. I think for me and for many of my friends, LinkedIn and Twitter, that's a must. Lots of my friends is using still Google Plus. I didn't find, and also because I'm using lots of this kind of automated stuff as well,
Yeah.
which is like if this then that, which is Twitter feed, which is aggregating content between platforms, and Google Plus never been that advanced, and I understand the point because they wanted for real people, not just to post feeds. So maybe that's why I didn't found this that much useful.
Okay, so LinkedIn you're really prominent on. You've got, loads of people that have recommended you for different things on there, and you also blog on a regular basis there. So is that original blog post that you're publishing on LinkedIn that haven't been published anywhere else?
That's correct. So I choose LinkedIn Pools as my main blogging platform. And once again, like I had this problem, like I always wanted to have a website, but I had no time, not enough time to open my own website. So I don't want to make this look not perfect. And now I was like, okay, let's try with LinkedIn. Let's see how it will go. And you see, LinkedIn is fantastic because you already got initial audience which may read your articles. I'm writing about SEO. My SEO is like my lifestyle, and most of the friends or connection I have on LinkedIn are related to SEO. So when I write about SEO, it's very relevant. Yeah. Then this kind of shares around LinkedIn as a platform, and then Twitter are happening. Yeah. So my audience is growing. Okay.
Mm.
And if you see on LinkedIn Pools as a platform, there is lots of fantastic writers, HR, head of HR from Google, Jack Welch, and so on and so on. I don't remember from the top of my head, but they doing the same. They writing lots of content, and they got like hundreds of thousands views. And now the best part is I done this kind of a test, and I had a presentation about how posted on LinkedIn and done a little of shares on Twitter and Facebook can finally not only receive lots of views, but I could see something that really hits me. I saw that my post being translated to Russian and
Right.
posted somewhere on another website, and being translated to some other languages, and I just found this because of the Brand24 tracker. So it's like, oh my gosh, someone found this useful enough to translate and post this somewhere else, and moreover, they linked back to my profile. Never answered question is, would I have the same outreach if I would do this on my own blog? Because it's like we're using a part of the authority of LinkedIn. People are thinking, wow, it's on LinkedIn, it's visible on LinkedIn, people are sharing this on LinkedIn, so they may consider this kind of content as a little more valuable than when I would open my own blog and started to post this first on my blog.
Yeah, that's really intriguing. I guess the challenge is that you're building your content and your authority on someone else's land, and you don't completely control everything. And even although you will feature quite prominently in search results on LinkedIn, you never know what might happen to LinkedIn in the future. Does that maybe concern you a little bit?
I was thinking about this, and you know what? If something bad would happen to LinkedIn, then it's more likely that something bad may happen to your blog, to be honest, It's the same way like creating massive fan page, okay? And of course, you're not fully controlling these fans and so on, massive profile on Twitter. That's a little of risk. Moreover, for me as an SEO, all the backlinks which are going out from my blog post on LinkedIn, they are no follow, but I don't care that much about this because that makes me like this is like this another thing, like you're doing this purely because you want to inform people rather than just write a blog post to cover some keywords, rank and link out and so on and so on. So like the number of followers in a couple of months went up by 130%. That's this kind of thing that make you one happy, and then is very inspirational to continue this activity. I had the question why I choose LinkedIn Pools, not other platforms, and like I was thinking that this is the most relevant in terms of like building audience, because the purpose I'm doing this is also because I want to meet more and more and more people.
Okay, so you also said that you've focused on followers. Does that mean that you don't accept just anyone to be a contact on LinkedIn?
I do.
You do?
I do
Okay.
accept, actually, I do accept everybody. I do accept everybody. Whoever is sending me a request, I'm accepting. And I never found this kind of like, risky, because the stuff you're sharing on LinkedIn is quite related to your professional activity. The amount of spam you're receiving on LinkedIn is very low. And finally, my page is open, so whatever you see unlocked and whatever you see logged in is very similar. So there is not much difference between to have me as a contact or not to have me as a contact in your network. Why I'm doing this? It is because sometimes people want to contact me and want to have a chat with me and so on. So it's easier for me to add me and then we have contact instead of they sending me email and so on and so on, and they losing this email credits. So, but obviously the number of followers is a little higher. I think there is like a way that they just want to follow me. I'm not as prominent to to be visible as LinkedIn influencer. This is also another goal I would like to achieve. Yeah, you know, LinkedIn influencer. This kind of like a sign that that you are kind of like a much more promoted and much more prominent than other LinkedIn users. This is something to achieve. So we will see. I think this is just the beginning, and so far I'm very surprised how it is going, and I'm very excited about this.
Okay, and you've also chosen SEO Manager London as your URL.
Yes.
Are you happy that you did that, or do you maybe regret doing that now and thinking that you're kind of locked into that?
I'm okay. I just wanted to see how if I can rank somehow, and you know, and I could, so it was okay. It was a nice test, but maybe I will change this. I don't see this as a problem, you know. Obviously, like you know, this is the purpose of URLs. I wanted to rank somewhere, so I don't this. Maybe I will change this one day, but for now, I don't feel like this is much problem because people rather are reading what is inside. So it just helped to rank a little higher on some keywords.
Okay, and just in relation to SEO, I'd just like to find a little bit more about how you first got into SEO and how you think SEO is now in 2015. What are the most important things to be looking out for? So, first of all, how did you actually get into SEO?
There is a story. Back in the day, when I was really much into music, I was a DJ and I was playing in the clubs and I was composing my own music and I was like trying to release this. And obviously, I wanted to have more gigs and I wanted clubs to be able to find me. So then I discovered that was beginning of like 2000, 2001. I discovered that there is a way to make your website to be above other websites. And when people will type drum and bass or drum and bass DJ or something like that, and I started to optimize my website, and I figured out that backlinks, that's all what really matter. It was pretty easy those days to rank. And I started to receive emails, I started to travel around around the country, and I started to play in different clubs. And then, you know, and that was nice, that was exciting. And finally, you know, when I moved to England, I was looking not only to do something, but also a place where I will find a community of people who are doing something similar. Well, I had lots of fun doing SEO and lots of like, it was making me very proud. So what I decided to do, I decided to make this as like my lifestyle. And then I found that SEO is kind of similar to what we could see on you know, drum and bass scene, like, oh, this guy know this guy, I was working with this guy, I know them, I was traveling and so on and so on, events, and you know, this is like a lifestyle, okay? I don't know if you are familiar with 90s, and there was like demo scene, like people were traveling for copy parties, and you know, they were like showing demos, intros, music competition. That was when I was like 15. So on every stage of my life, I'm always very excited to be involved in something that has a community. And SEO is a perfect example. If you go on 11th of April to Brighton, you will see how many people there is. Like, we are like a big family, you know. We are like a big family. Like, this is like a convent, you know. Like, you know, people who share the same excitation about some kind of activities, okay? And surprisingly, it doesn't exist in PPC, it doesn't exist in affiliate. In affiliate, in PPC, it's more like, okay, we're doing this, this and that, and you know, maybe because SEO is not fully transparent. And how it looks like today, I think it looks fantastic.
But
like
I thought SEO was dead now.
Yeah,
I'm only joking with you.
Yeah, every year, SEO is dead every year, since 2005. And like Monday, we went on Search London. Then you know, we could meet there, 60 people. Then the day after, I was on event organized by Traffic Optimizer. That was another event where there was like 30, 40 people. We know each other from previous events, and we could share, again, concept. We had lots of fun. We had not only conversation about SEO, but also about other topics. So it's like a lifestyle, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So you don't see yourself moving on to another area of digital marketing at all. SEO is
No,
going
I
to be your
don't
future.
think. I would like to cover more about social media and SEO, but that's it. And I wouldn't rather like to, you know, to change this dramatically, because I feel like this is where I am, and I really enjoy. I still have lots of fun to go at morning to my office to see people. You know, the company where I'm working, this is fantastic environment to work. People are very smart, very self-driven, but also a team player. So it's a fantastic place to work, and that keeps me up.
Excellent. No, it's great to work with good people and people that share the same beliefs and want to do things that you do. So yeah, brilliant place to be. So let's segue into the second section of our discussion. So that focuses more on your thoughts on where digital marketing's been and where it's heading. So starting off with
Software I couldn't live without.
So what software do you currently use in your business that if someone took away from you, it would significantly impact your marketing success?
I prepared to answer this question. And I just splitted this by kind of categories. So let me start from keywords, keyword research, and you know I will be mentioning these tools like in a pairs or like in triples, like a family. So keyword research, definitely search metrics and SEMrush, because I found it's very useful to use them both and combine the data together. You're getting much wider view, I would say,
Right.
because every tool is work a little different. I could add also Spyful, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not using Spyful right now, so I will mention search metrics in SEMrush. Then for backlinks, Majestic and Ahrefs together. Yeah, Majestic is fantastic. Ahrefs is fantastic. I know that there is lots of overlap, but still, if you export data from tool 1 and tool 2 and you combine, and let's say in Excel you will remove duplication, then you will get a better picture. Then you can take Google Webmaster Tools as well. Brand tracking, you mentioned, it's Brand24, yeah? Also Google Alerts, maybe Talkwalker and Fresh Web Explorer from Moz, but Brand24 is my favorite tool. And then what I really like is on-page optimization and scanning this, looking where are the issues. So Screaming Frog, URL Profiler, and obviously DeepCrawl for this kind of corporate level solutions. Yeah, DeepCrawl is fantastic. I think there is no better crawler than DeepCrawl, and obviously Screaming Frog is also fantastic, especially when you need to do something ad hoc. For on-page, maybe I will surprise you, but Moz. I like Moz Grade Optimizer. It's so easy to understand this, and I can tell everybody who even never been in SEO what I'm doing and how I'm doing this. So Moz on-page Grade Optimizer is fantastic. And finally, social media. BuzzSumo. I think BuzzSumo become like an industry standard right now. Everybody is talking about BuzzSumo. How fantastic this tool is. For scheduling, Hootsuite, and finally for doing a little of buzz, viral content buzz, which is Unsmartis, and I really like this kind of solution she's offering. She's also offering MyBlogU, really cool platform to have interaction with bloggers and so on and so on. I am really following them, what they're doing, because this is like win-win company. Every solution they're bringing on the market is like super win, and people love to use this. So that's my kind of like a workshop, I would say.
I think you've just won the competition for the longest list of recommended software tools that anyone's made so far.
I was preparing myself this.
That's great. No, well, I will include links to all of them within the show notes there, so that'll be a bit of work for me there. So, a related question, slightly more challenging. What kind of software, what piece of software don't you use at the moment, but you've heard good things about and you've meant to try at some point in the near future?
I will skip from mentioning the names, but I will tell you the way how I'm working. It's a little like I don't enjoy all-in-one tools. Okay, I
Mm.
don't believe all-in-one tools, and deep crawl, which I mentioned, very narrow specialization, just crawling, nothing else. Then you have like brand 24, just brand tracking. Then you have something like BuzzSumo, just shares. I think these tools make lots of sense because it's very, very narrow. And if you have like platform which is trying to do all the things, it may be more affordable, but that's it. This platform will never beat deep crawling in crawling website and never beat SEMrush in keyword tracking. So again, I have lots of respect to people who are doing these platforms, and I wouldn't like to say like, oh, I'm not using this because I don't like this. But you probably know that tools what I'm talking about. There are these platforms which offering everything in one. I know that there are people who may be looking for this. I am personally not finding this as useful as having a bunch of tools which are specialized in one area. Each tool in one area.
Okay. I mean, I guess it depends on who the target market is. I mean, someone like yourself, vastly experienced in SEO, knows precisely what they want. Someone in a marketing department in a company might be a bit of a generalist and perhaps hasn't got that much time, and maybe it's unrealistic to expect them to know each tool. So, I mean, in that type of situation, if it's a fairly small company with a general small marketing team without any great SEO specialists, would you say it's better for them to either use a generalist tool or maybe actually outsource and use an agency to do things for them?
I would let them to start from, let's say, SEMrush and Majestic or Search Metrics and Ahrefs.
Mm.
That's are the two most important. They can at least cover backlinks and keyword research. And then, obviously, like after this, they can start convincing business owners that, okay, we done this good, maybe we can invest a little more money. Um, Agencies, I am a big fan of agencies, but the same way. I know lots of agencies which are giving huge added value for a very specific field, very, very narrow field. I feel like it can be a little tricky when you will go to agencies like, what, can you do online marketing strategy for my company? You, as in-house, you have much more knowledge about what you want to achieve and what is your product and so on and so on and so on. And it's not that difficult. And now it's outsourcing from this super high level, it is risky because these people, even if they are very, very talented and they want to deliver what you want, they may have not enough knowledge about how the product looks like. So if you want to hire an agency, that's great, but maybe something very specific like infographics, or for example, hiring agency which is a specialist in understanding how Googlebot is crawling through your website.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's an incredible important thing to be aware of why you should do certain things. A lot of businesses end up doing things because they are told to do that by the agency, and they don't know the ramification of why they're doing it and what will happen perhaps to other areas of their business and their long-term SEO success. So you're absolutely right to point out that it's important to try to understand things internally first before making the decision to use an agency.
True, true. And sometimes people are doing this because other people are doing people are doing something because other people are doing something without any like deeper understanding. So yeah, I agree with you.
Excellent. Okay, well, let's move on to.
I wish I would have.
And so I'd like you to look back on the very first day that you're involved in trying to market a business online. What didn't you do well? What do you wish that you would have done differently?
I think I am the person who doesn't have any regrets about anything what happened because you cannot change your past. So I'm not trying to think what I done wrong and wow, shame on me. That would keep me down. But obviously, like right now, I know much more about how to report, how not to over-report. This is another issue. Sometimes you see people over-reporting. They are sending every month like 40 pages of the report where there is lots of text, and nobody have time to read this. It's like a book,
Yeah.
So working with high like they call the CXO, like CEOs or COOs people in the last couple of years, that gave me fantastic ability to understand that what these people are looking for. They want to know the main line, the top line of the story. Yeah, okay, we're going from the point A, from point B. That was the way. This is the numbers we agreed. This is the numbers we achieved. And they don't necessarily care that the bloggers who we contacted, he's excited to work with us, and so on and so on and so on. So it was a long journey. It's more than 10 years right now, and I think it's like SEO people are like good wine, older and better, like whiskey, like a Scotch whiskey. Like right now I can be this kind of 10 years old Lafroig.
Lafroig, that's a good one. Yes, a nice light island malt.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it's good to have a background, if you're an SEO, of experiencing what things was like 10 years ago. Because I mean, I remember doing SEO 11 years ago, and building lots of links to a site, sharing links, and yeah, you're experimenting with things, but then you learn how things work, and because you've come through that, you're completely aware of where the line is, what's appropriate to do, and why things have changed as well. And I'm so happy that I started SEO way back then, because people starting now won't get the opportunity to experience that.
True. They can only read some articles. And again, I feel like I was in the right place in the right time. I was early enough to be in this early stage of SEO. And so like I mentioned, like it was like 10 years of nice journey, and I learned a lot. And I think like if you would ask me to answer your question in 2024 or 2030, then we will be referring to that time right now as something like, oh my gosh, that was so funny. Remember when we were talking about these signals from social media that they may count as as a factors, and then finally maybe they started to count. You never know. Maybe they didn't, or maybe social media stopped to be popular anymore. We never know. But overall, it is, I think, also this kind of behavior not to have ego in social media. I found this very important, and I consider like I don't have that much. I'm trying not to have ego in terms of like you always can learn something, and lots of young people is coming on this industry with brilliant ideas, and they can surprise. And I think our value in the company is the fact that we are constantly trying to learn more and more. And there is the fascinating is that it's something between art and science in between. I had always lots of respect to like Einstein and Marie Curie, like Stephen Hawking, but I never had the brain like big enough to be like them. And from the other side, I mentioned that I'm a musician, so I could find a way in the middle of the way between music and being like Stephen Hawking. And this is kind of an SEO, it's not as strict as quantum physics, but you can still open your Excel and do some kind of funky things with data, and that makes you happy.
It's funny, that's exactly the way I describe it, as being the middle ground between art and science. And majority of people, unfortunately, don't really understand that, or can't be in both camps. I think people in general are art orientated or science orientated, and it takes a different person to be able to understand both points of view, really.
Yeah, like too much art is more like, oh, we're working. Okay, but what you trying to achieve? Oh, he's busy. We're working very hard. He's busy. No ground with the numbers. From the other side, when you have too much scientific approach, it's more like, okay, but this and this operation, how much uplift it will give us? It's not that easy to calculate. It's more like we need to look on this like a global thing. But if you convince people that this is, like you mentioned, middle way between science and art and science, then I think this is like win-win situation.
Okay.
The this or that round.
So this is the quick response round now. So 10 quick questions, just 2 rules. Think about the answer too much, and you're only allowed to say the word both on 1 occasion. So ready to go?
Yeah.
Email or Twitter?
Twitter.
Audio or video?
Video.
Affiliates or display advertising?
Display advertising.
Facebook or Google+?
Facebook.
Online press releases or one-on-one relations?
What was the first one?
Online press releases or one-on-one relations?
One-on-one relations.
Paid search or SEO?
SEO.
Email contact form or telephone number?
Mail contact form.
Website or app?
Website.
Social subscriber or email subscriber?
Social subscribers.
And local marketing or global marketing?
Global marketing.
I think you went through them pretty quickly there. The only slight pause was probably before social subscriber or email subscriber. And
Yes.
most people actually choose email subscriber for this. So why did you go for social subscriber?
I think majority of people are signing into the list and not reading emails. And I think, you know, I found myself like majority of newsletter I'm just removing. That's why I'm more happy. When we met first time, I probably mentioned this. Can you drop me a message on LinkedIn rather than email? Because you know I don't need to go through all these newsletters. I just signed a long time ago. Very rarely I am reading them, and sometimes I found them ridiculous, especially this kind of hotel companies. Like, you know, they have this algorithm, and you're going to Iceland, and then next week you're going to Bulgaria, and Reykjavik is here, and Sofia is here, and they're like, next week after they sending you email like, hey, did you know that there are deals in Reykjavik and Sofia? And I'm trying to return. Give me something which is as nice as these two places, but not there, you know, because I just return. So, you know, sometimes it can be fun.
Okay, moving on to
The $10,000 question.
So if I was to give you $10,000 and you had to spend it over the next few days on a single thing to grow your business, what would you spend it on and how would you measure success?
I would hire a very good journalist to write really cool piece of content.
Mm.
That would be my
With contacts, and where would you want that content to be published? On LinkedIn?
on my website. On my website, obviously, yeah. But definitely content. Once again, content. I become a big fan of content in the last few years, and that's. I know it's always cost generating, but if you would give me 10,000, I would definitely try to invest this into content rather than, you know, like some kind of. Obviously, like. First, you need to have a website, yeah, and let's say everything is there and it's just ready to go, and it's somewhere there. Then you take in this journalist or like a good writer, because these days it's significant difference between people who call themselves writers and people who want to be writers, but in fact they are typists, you know. So there is like writers and typists, and you know, like story-based kind of article, or you know, like case study. Fantastic. This is what people love. Case studies, really well written. I think that is worth all the money.
So for every great piece of content that's written and published online with a view to driving decent volumes of traffic, is it essential to do keyword research and actually have keywords in the usual places within that content?
Yes, yes, definitely, because it's like you have this knowledge, you know how it works from one side, and from the other side you have fantastic piece of content. So you should apply this knowledge you have as an SEO into this great piece of content, okay? Rather than write the content and believe that it will magically start ranking. But it's significant difference between writing content and trying to cover as many keywords as possible, or hiring a good, very good professional journalist who will write a piece of content and then give some suggestions. Hey, can we add this, this, and that? And this is this nice synergy because he works as a gatekeeper. He is the person who is saying, okay, David, okay, Lucas, I think these two keywords, they sounds good, but this and this doesn't. And the fifth one is not a grammar correct. So I always trying to put SEO in the second line. Content is for people, and SEO is just giving nice advices. Hey, can you do this? Can you do that? And give us feedback, and then we will be working together. I think this is how it should work. We are for writers. We are helping make their content ranking, not the other way, like they are for us.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that, and I like the fact that you mentioned that because SEO 5, 7 years ago, perhaps even longer, it used to be really successful doing horrible things like spinning articles, spinning content within articles, to having different versions of the same articles, and just making articles the minimum of maybe 300 or 400 words long, and not putting a lot of effort into actually quality. And the fact that SEOs are focusing on quality now is absolutely superb.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And you see, $10,000 that would be enough to cover maybe like 100 pieces of content or 1,000 pieces of content, pretty average one. Why not to invest for someone's time who is first a journalist, second an expert, third can write article in this super nice, engaging tone of voice. Third, the things that they present in the articles are like case studies once again, and so on. And then the final touch is SEO, the suggestions. You know what? Maybe, what I found very cool these days is just like you're taking keywords you want to rank, and you're going to BuzzSumo and you're typing this keyword and you see what is relevant to the keyword and being shared the most. This is fantastic advice. You're not thinking about the keyword itself. You're rather thinking about context that this keyword that you want to rank be used before.
Great, great. Well, that just leaves us with
My number one takeaway.
So you've offered a lot of wonderful advice in our conversation. So what would you say is the number one takeaway? What's the single most important step that our listeners just need to take away and implement in their own businesses?
I think the first is you need to answer, or the business need to answer the question why they are doing this, what they want to achieve, okay? What is your added value? What are you offering to customer? Why you want to run? Yeah. If this is simple because there is a surge volume, maybe there is not a good way to go. But if you are doing recipes with, low cholesterol food, or you're helping people to find the contacts with the drivers that are driving somewhere just to cut the cost, that's the first point, yeah. And then from that point, when you know what your business wants to achieve, then you're building the website, because the website will be different for different purposes, yeah. And when you quicker you answer this question, better your website will be. Obviously, it's easy in the theory because there is lots of websites that have been like 20 years old. There is lots of legacy and so on and so on. But again, if you give me, instead of this 10,000, you give me $1 million, I would first, in the first day, I would do a brainstorm, and then I would try to answer where we are, where we're trying to go, and how we will get there. And then I would start building SEO strategy.
Okay, focus on the end business goal, the actual business goal for.
Yeah, this is why we are in the companies. My background is an in-house, so I was always very proud to be working in-house, and that's why we are in the company. We're trying to give additional value. Okay, the people who can find the website we're working on because of our activity, generating additional income. Yeah, so there will be always this kind of maybe because I was able to work with business people in the past few years. I'm trying to focus on the business objectives right now.
Great. Well, that takes us to the end of our discussion. So thanks so much for your time and your advice. Can you remind us what's the best way for the audience to find out more about you if they want?
So my Twitter and my LinkedIn, just type in Google my name and surname, LUKASZ ZELEZNY, and we can also catch up on some events. Like I just been signed today for Engaged, which is in May 16, 17, and 18. So yeah, if anybody would like to go, then let's catch up there. And let's track what is around. Like I mentioned, like Brighton SEO, Search London. There's so many events that we can catch up, and that would be a pleasure to meet everybody who is listening to your podcast.
Excellent. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm sure people will get in touch. I will include links to your Twitter, your LinkedIn within the show notes there. So yeah, thanks again, Lukasz.
Thank you very much. That was a pleasure to be here, and good luck with your show. And I hope we will be able to catch up soon in the real world.
Oh, great. Okay, thank you, and thank you, dear listener. We'll see you next time on. Catch you again later. Thanks for joining us. Bye for now.